Now, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu looks like judo, right? Judo, it's like campo guard, more time unlimited on the mat. That look more like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So these rule sets kind of like a spectrum, and every single one of these grappling rule sets, like which is sambo, jiu-jitsu, wrestling, it all just involves two people, right? And it's all about control, take the person down, and then just two, like hip position, head position, hand position, all these different things. The interaction between the two grapplers kind of go, that's what it is. It's sort of like this universal thing. You know, when you're a little kid, you take your brother down, you hold him down. It's kind of like, oh, you have a older brother. Yeah. Yeah, no-gi judo since we're little kids. That's right. I think my cousins, so like we grew up like wrestling each other. You know, so it's a universal thing that we all do. But what is no-gi judo specifically? It's sort of like a theoretical martial arts / sport, because there is no governing sport like the IJF, who does International Judo Federation, UWW, which is the United Wrestling World Wrestling Federation, IBJJF. Right? So there is no governing body, but it takes sort of the best parts of judo and applies it out of the context of sport judo and sort of see what's the most applicable in the world of wrestling, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, submission wrestling, no-gi Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which is very, very popular now. So a lot of those sort of the gaps that you see in freestyle Greco, for instance, Greco-Roman has great upper body throw when you're locking the arm, etc., etc. And they have these sort of knee lever takedown, but you can never entangle the leg. Right? So from Greco-Roman position, you can't turn this into a Uchimata, even though it sort of seems like that's the right thing to be able to do from there. Right? And Uchimata is a very, very strong judo flow. So it kind of picks and chooses sort of the best parts. You know what I mean? Yeah, and with no-gi judo's popularity, a lot of guys would sort of opt wrestling, but wrestling takes a very low stance, which kind of exposes your neck to guillotine chokes and such. So naturally, people tend to take a little more upright position, right? And then they used to say, oh, wrestling with the foot sweeps might not be as applicable, but you have to ask a question like, what kind of wrestling? We have collegiate wrestling, freestyle wrestling, Greco wrestling. Obviously, Greco, you can't touch the legs. So naturally, when you're doing submission wrestling, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and no-gi, you tend to have this more upright posture to prevent guillotine chokes. And now, the legs are much more available for foot sweeps and such. Foot sweeps, looking for that body lock, inside trips. All these techniques leave you less vulnerable to guillotine chokes, Udigaramis and such. So it's a study that needs to be sort of studied. It's a place that you can kind of do. And my attempt here today is to take the best parts of the judo throws. And we call it no-gi judo throws. We also have a no-gi judo foot sweeps and trips video, so you guys can check that out. Hope you guys learned something today. Maybe usually everything else to add that.
Yes, no-gi judo itself doesn't really exist in the sense that there's an official rule set or competition rules. So it gives you kind of the freedom to practice it the way that you want. It kind of is like the substance in between all these different types of wrestling and grappling and other martial arts.
All right, first and foremost, when you're engaging in no-gi judo, to throw them, you need to close the distance. Right? So if you ever watch everybody have these like strikers and stuff like that, if they want to take somebody down, they have to get to the leg, they have to get close enough to take the person down. Out here, no matter how much judo I know, jiu-jitsu I know, I can't do anything out to my partner until I encroach into his sort of space. So how do you close the distance? Let's say you're in a wrestling stance. He's in a wrestling stance. If I just simply walk up straight here with my hand up, he's going to shoot on my leg and leave myself vulnerable and exposed. So how do I approach my opponent is sort of the key. Okay? So even in a wrestling stance, say in any sort of wrestling stance, and he's kind of far away from me, I want to approach him in a way where he can't just accidentally just shoot me onto my legs. So I want to be upright out here, but if I'm going to enter into his space, I want to change my level to match his head. Okay? In wrestling, it's very common, just take a step to me, right? To kind of get down here like this and then shoot another leg. But the problem here is you leave yourself open to guillotine chokes and such if you just change levels and go underneath. So head height matters a little bit more when there is guillotine chokes and things like this to take into consideration. And yes, we choke them in judo. It's a real thing. We're not going to get submissions today. Okay, so usually in the wrestling stance, I try to match his head height here. Okay? And now from here, as opposed to just walking straight here, I can do this, but this leaves a little bit more vulnerable for him to time this footstep coming in. They call this sort of like a rhythm step. You see this kind of a thing, right? And then you kind of shoot it on the side, right? So you definitely don't want to just walk right in, right? So from this position, look, I'm taking the side step, look, I can angle off, and whichever lead leg that I have in front of me, the lead arm goes down to defend it. Let me just stand there for a second, right? So if I'm here, you see how this lead leg is defended? So if he does shoot in with a double leg takedown here, look, he runs into this arm, and look, I can go into an underhook here, okay? Or he takes that same shot here, right? Look, he runs into this crossface here, okay? And then I can immediately go into a pancake sort of a takedown. Generally speaking, the arms are the first line of defense. So if he's taking a stance, and if my arms are in the way, it's going to be very difficult for him to close his distance. And like you saw when he took that shot, I was able to cross it. Right? So arms are the first line of defense. Second line of defense usually is the head. Okay, so now if he wants to take a shot and change levels, I match it, he cannot get to my legs. All right? So arms, head, third line of defense is the hips. Okay? Let's say he just takes a nice little shot here, just take a single level, boom, right? And this was it, look, I bumped the hips, I throw my hips back. Bump, circle, so my hips are going to be the third line of defense. Okay, but we're not talking about shot defense right now. So usually into a stance here, we're going to approach, we're going to try to circle, angle this way, enter the stance here, and we're going to pulse with their back leg. Yeah. Okay?